Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pop Preview, review, where we're going to be reviewing the Tomorrow War. So this is going to be a spoiler review. So if you've watched the movie, cool, stick around and enjoy. If you haven't, please go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime right now, and then come back and enjoy the review. So joining me is across the pond is Bogz. How's it going, Bogz?
Yes, very good, thank you. Was looking forward to this. Did quite like the trailer. It did seem interesting because a lot of like cross genres. I do like Chris Pratt as well, as he's comedic, charming, like uh, like a second tier Indiana, like a Harrison Ford type thing. So I like that whole vibe that he's got going on. So yeah, I was looking forward to it, and yeah, I'll give my thoughts now. But yeah, I was excited to watch.
It's funny you said that. Like when they were talking about rebooting Indiana Jones, his names is the ones that was popping
Definitely.
up. So I mean, you're not the only one who kind of has that, gives off that vibes about him. Joining
Mhm.
us is Soul. Hi, Soul. How's it going?
Going good. I really liked this movie a lot. I know when watching the trailer, I probably was the one who liked the trailer the least because I was like, they have to explain the time travel well for me to enjoy this movie. They explained it well enough for me, so therefore I enjoyed this movie. And I liked everything and ready to discuss it further with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I can give my overall thoughts as well. It was just okay. Um, when we did the trailer review, my thought process was like, oh, like taking people from the past, bringing them into the future to fight a war. I thought that was a great, interesting gimmick and concept for a science fiction movie, and I thought the movie would have harped on that a little bit more. It didn't. They really just used it as like a plot device. It's like, yeah, let's just get them from where they are and bring them where they are, and that's it. It's almost as like they're in one country, but let's find a way to get them to the other country, and then once they're there, how they got there, don't worry about it. So for that reason, it was just like fine. The action was great. I will say though, the we didn't see the monsters in the trailer, and I'm glad now because seeing them in the movie, they look great. Like they really look great. The mother white stalker or whatever it's called, look great too. So for they own credits for that. But other than that, it was just very paint by the numbers action movie. Nothing else too spectacular. Um, Boggs, any other points about just general overall thoughts that will go into a little bit more specifics?
Yeah, I quite liked it. It has. I felt like it reminded me of a lot of other movies. So I felt like it took traits from a lot of similar genre stuff. So some of the Terminator movies, I feel like maybe Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis type, plus like Edge of Tomorrow, plus yeah, some other action movies as well. But overall, yeah, I thought it was fun. As Army of the Dead as well. I felt like instead of zombies, it was these aliens that they were fighting, basically like this apocalyptic save the world type thing. So yeah, I thought it was fun. Chris Pratt, like I said, I quite like him just as an overall comedic action star kind of thing. And Yvonne Strahovski, she's excellent in A Handmaid's Tale. Like she is arguably the best part of the show. It's like an absolute perfect role for her. So I'm always kind of looking out for what role she or what work she does. She was his daughter in the movie, of course, but a Jack J.K. Simmons, which was really weird to see as well. Like old man Jack thing that he's got going on, and yeah, I just thought it was fun. Like, absolutely agree, Sean. They didn't, for me, nowhere near touch on the time travel stuff enough. Even the characters were trying to like ask for more information, and the people in charge were saying, "Nope, that's it. They go to A and B. That's it. Like, just accept it, put up with it. We're not discussing it anymore. That's it." Because even say, "Oh, can't we go like other places as well?" And like, and they were like, "No, that's it, A and B." So yeah, that was actually funny that the way they addressed it. I felt, but the I thought the aliens looked really good, particularly that's when you first reveal when they're kind of climbing down the staircase and you couldn't really see how many there were or what they actually looked like. So it was a bit like of a half a jump scare, I'd say. So I quite enjoyed that, and yeah, the ending was obviously a little silly, but at that point, and I feel like some of the Aliens movies as well, like absolute throwback to some of them. Um, especially injecting the the aliens in their in their kind of sacks and stuff,
Like a
and how
cocoon
they
type
jumped
thing.
out. Yeah, very alien-esque, and fighting the kind of the queen. I know you called it mother, but I think you meant queen, the queen aliens thing. And yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was fun. Kind of would have liked to have seen it in a cinema as well, just because of the scope and scale of it and stuff. But overall, pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, if I was sitting in the theater, I would have got bored after a while because the movie, like, we'll get to the negative part, but the movie like has two endings. Like, cause you think
Basically,
like
yeah.
you think like, oh, he got home, he's got the serum. Oh, the movie's over. It's gonna wrap up, and then it goes
Yeah.
on for another half hour after.
I
I'm
feel
like,
like I knew the scene where it was supposed to end, and then I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, there's another scene." I thought, and then I paused it. I was like, "There's half an hour left." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, cool.
I don't know if that was studio notes where they're just like some people just didn't want the movie to end at that point. Like, well, what happens after that? Like,
Yeah, maybe.
they just wanted another action fight or whatever. So what are your overall thoughts on the movie?
Yeah, I liked it. That part was a little weird, that extra 30 minutes, especially too where the government has spent so much money and has enacted a draft and all this and done everything to protect the future. And then they were like, hey, we have the solution right here. We know where they are. We'll solve this problem. Everything will be fine. And they're like, we don't have enough money for that. That's in jurisdiction that we can't do anything. And they had to go off and do it on their own. So that's the part that's funny with me, the extra 30 minutes. But I still quite enjoyed it. Because we got more J.K. Simmons in there, and J.K. Simmons is always great in everything that he does, and especially now jacked old man J.K. Simmons. Like, you got to see what he got jacked for Justice League, and we didn't really get to see like him be jacked, and so we got to see it now more in this movie. But yeah, I even liked the fact that like they were like, this is what the time travel is. We're not explaining anymore. This is exactly what it is. We don't need to explain it. It was made it easier to suspend your disbelief. Like, okay, this is what it is, and that's it. Nothing else. And I very much enjoyed all the action scenes. It was a little bit of a longer film. There was points where I was just like, okay, like let's speed this up a little bit. But other than that, I've enjoyed everything that I was watching on screen.
I really probably if I'm pretty sure it was studio notes because if you think about it, without that 30 minutes, we only really get J.K. Sims in that one scene. We really only like the other parts guys in the crew. We don't really see them a lot after they get separated. So I'm sure that the studio's like we invested a little bit of time in these characters and then we never see them again. So I'm pretty much that's why that whole like extra 30 minutes came from because you don't really need it. We don't really learn anything in that extra 30 minutes. It's like it's very obvious that they have this serum now. They're gonna save the day.
Why
They
have
could
J.K. Simmons if you're not going to have him be in a part of an action scene or an extra part of the movie? Yeah.
exactly. And I'm pretty sure they were just like, well, let's just do this other thing. But then they should have just cut some other stuff out of the movie. Like them trying to come up with the serum just took way too long. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna get it. Hurry up and get it already. It's just like her trying. Like you're wrong. I agree with Bogz. She is a great actress. I used to love her in Chuck. I don't know if you've seen that, Bogz. That was with Zachary Levi. That's a great show.
I know
She
it
was
is almost.
amazing in that. So I've always loved her. I don't know why she's not in the MCU or the DCEU at this point. I have no idea why she's not in one of those. She should be for sure. But just going on just more thoughts about the movie. Chris Pratt does a very very good job of what he's given. The movie doesn't ask that much of him to be honest, but I do like the scenes with him and his daughter in the beginning, and them just kind of like, am I gonna get drafted or am I not? Like I do like that his family dynamic at the beginning. To me, I actually would have liked a little bit more of that at the beginning to kind of see them kind of then like kind of pluck him away. It would have been more of like touching to me, to be honest. But I don't know. That's just me. But the whole time travel thing, it's like okay, you can only do it at certain points. Okay, I got you. But the fact that they like the movie didn't do a good enough job of explaining like, yes, hey, in 30 years we're gonna be able to do chart. What else can we do? What else can't we do? That there's not enough. They didn't show enough of the conflict of like, hey, why are we helping you? What's in it for us? Like you should just be you should be helping us more prepare instead of us going out. Like there should have been a little bit more back and forth because like, wait, why am I going? Why am I sticking my neck out for 30 years later? Like the kids were actually saying in the classroom. Well, it's why do we have to do it? It seems like we're doomed. Why is it fall on us? There should have been a lot more conflict than it just be like, yeah, you're drafted. There's nothing you can do about it. So,
I think that's the time jump though, because like they land on the World Cup in Qatar. Who's playing Brazil? I didn't catch.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe need to watch it back. It was definitely Brazil, and
yeah, it was definitely Brazil.
But I think it was one of those like that would have just made the movie longer. We would have probably had a lot of scenes of people like in rooms talking to each other. Why do we do this? Why all that boring bureaucratic crap? So I think why they kind of pressed a little forward in time, like a month or two, and just had those scenes on TV and showing that people are rioting and people are against being drafted and all this other things that we've seen in history in the United States when drafts have been enacted. And so I think to me, it actually was a smart move of just like, okay, this is the issue we have. This is what we need to do. And we're going to jump a little forward in time. And now we're just doing this kind of thing. Because I think if we had all of that bureaucratic stuff, it's supposed to be a dumb action film. So I was along for the ride for the dumb action film.
Yeah, I mean, even dumb action films have explanation. Like if you look at Armageddon, that's a dumb action movie. They explain a lot of stuff in that movie. And
yeah, but I think sometimes that's to some movies' detriments, though.
Well, yeah, but in this, there's tons of them just shooting at the aliens. Like after a while, it's just like you're just shooting at aliens. There's no. After a while, I don't need that. I don't need as much of it as we got. If you would have said, "Hey, I'm going to take 2 or 3 or 4 minutes out of them just shooting aliens and actually give you more substance," yeah, sign me up for that trade. Because after you initially see them, it's like they're just standing around shooting aliens and running from aliens. It's like, okay, been there, done that. But I'm curious. Did you guys not see that trope coming where like Yvonne was his daughter? That just seemed very like if it's not that, then I don't know what we're doing here. Or was that just me?
I don't know.
They tried to hide
it. Yeah, I don't remember the point that I realized. Probably no, I don't think I did realize. As soon as they said her name is when.
Yeah, when they said Captain Forrester, I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, they're doing this.
Exactly,
okay, yeah.
Before that, I don't know if I picked it up.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I picked it up right away because it was like, why wouldn't they do that? It just seems very, the way their kind of dynamic was and like how long of a jump, 30 years. Yeah, that has to be his daughter. And the way they were kind of setting up what his daughter was into, just like, yeah, that had to be her. But is there anything specifically that you guys didn't like? So I'll start with you. Was there anything that you didn't like about the movie, or you wish they could have done better? Or
I think when I explained earlier too is the whole part of they had all these resources. They did all of this stuff to fight this war. Like they literally put everything. They were like, we're going to institute a draft. We're going to do all this money. We're going to do all of this, and then not giving the money for them to go to Russia. And they had to go find a roundabout way to do that. And that's just the only way to bring J.K. Simmons back into it. It's like, I know one guy who can help me out with this. It's my dad.
Just one.
Yeah,
guy,
just
the
one.
Whole world.
Yeah. And so I think in that's probably my biggest criticism. And then also to they did take a little bit, they stretched out the whole finding the antidote or the whatever the thing from the lady alien. So that part was stretched out a little bit in the lab. But other than that, like I had a good time the entire time I was watching it.
Yeah, I maybe if I watched it, I didn't get. They didn't do enough. Well, maybe for me, I didn't get it. They didn't do a good enough job explaining why just the female was so important versus the male. Like I
Well,
didn't.
the toxins hit the males, and then the males would die. Where
Yeah.
the female metabolized it quicker, so it affected the female, but she was able to metabolize it in a way that the males weren't able to, and so she had something very different biologically than the males. So if they could find a way to hit the female, then they'd be able to hit all of them. So any toxin that would kill a female would kill all of them. So that's the main thing, because the other toxins that they had were killing the males, but the females were still surviving, which means that they could still find another male, breed. Therefore, we don't know how these people breed, so, how these aliens breed, and therefore, so they needed to find a way to kill all of them.
And I think the movie was trying to plant a sequel already, because then if you like at the end when they're just like, oh, someone brought them here, and then they'd be like, who brought them here? Ooh, I don't know. Boggs, was there anything that you didn't like in the movie?
A few things. I mean, the runtime is nearly 2.5 hours with credits, so
Yeah.
definitely a little too long. Definitely the time travel thing for me was an issue because I feel I feel like the characters were even trying to address it as well. Like, why don't you just create other points in time that you can jump in? I'm like, no, just accept it. We're not going to do that. And I'd say some of the things with the daughter, so Chris Pratt and Yvonne Strahovski going back and forth about things that he hasn't done, that she's upset with him, like, oh, you left us, you mum got divorced, and like he hasn't done them things. So although that is, in like another reality kind of thing, so I do kind of get why she did it, but he hasn't done them, so why are you annoyed at him, kind of thing. And he was like kind of getting upset with it as well, and he hasn't done them yet. So I just felt like they were going over that same thing a few times. I understand they were trying to invoke the emotion and stuff, but for me that didn't totally work. I was more kind of interested in her when she was a little girl, and him when he got back, and him with his wife. That was more interesting than them two going back and forth a number of times about, oh, you left me, why are you being like this, that kind of thing. So
Well, especially because she at first she said, "Yeah, I shouldn't tell you," and I thought,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
I'll just tell you.
yeah,
Here's what I was like.
yeah,
You just said you were.
I think though too, for her, she was probably like trying to like, okay, I have a mission here. We don't need to get emotional about anything. And then at that moment, it's like, okay, here's the right time to get emotional. So now I can spill all of. I think it's a movie trope that we've seen a bunch. Like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. The things that I didn't like are just standard movie tropes in these kind of movies.
yeah.
So it's nothing really that I was too annoyed about. Probably the time travel thing was the biggest thing, and I didn't totally love the last fight scene when it's J.K. Simmons and Chris Pratt against the I by my count, I think he punched her in the mouth twice. Like this thing that's eating people and like can crush people. He managed to punch him like with the toxin, and then
It was like a brawl.
yeah, he was like, he's getting
like
a right.
It was a
He's
boxing
getting his
match.
mouth at, and then like somehow
Yeah.
coming out on top. So yeah, it was like an
there's no way
Endgame
of real
thing
life
a little
doing
bit
it.
with he saved
Yeah.
J.K. Simmons, and yeah, it was like a little tongue in cheek, definitely very tongue in cheek. But
Yeah.
I
yeah,
was waiting for the other guy
I mean,
to come and cut her up. That's what I was like, because he cut
yeah,
up that
he
other
was
one.
just down and
I
out.
thought they were gonna play that joke again, where he would just be like, where she was gonna jump at him,
And he comes out of nowhere at the end too. They lay down, and then he is like, here.
I was
he
like,
is.
oh yeah, he's there.
Okay, he's still here.
I
The
totally forgot.
The other thing I just remembered too is the fact. One thing that they laid the seeds for and then never went back to is I have this theory that we have to be dead in that timeline to be able to jump forward in time. And Chris Pratt was like, oh, I agree with you, and then it's never mentioned again.
Yeah, and again, it's like when we were watching the trailer, I thought this movie has interesting elements to it, but then they just brought them up and then just abandoned them just to be a generic action movie. Like Yvonne's character was very tropey. The fact that she was like, oh, I won't tell you, now I will tell you. I have to do this alone. I'm not getting, all this stuff. But then she could have easily played off at the sense like, hey, I'm gonna die, But don't worry about me dying. If you go back and do your job, I'm going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. So don't worry about me. Instead of just making this like big emotional, like, oh my god, like, yeah, she's gonna die. She knows that. But if you go back and do,
she was a Sarah Connor. Put it
exactly, but go back and do your damn job, and then everything will be fine. So,
but it's still traumatic to see your daughter die, no matter if it's that's still a traumatic thing to see someone that you love die. So I think in that sense too, probably she knew that she probably knew that this is her father, the father that she had when she was at that age of 8 or 9. I forget exactly how old she is. And she probably knows how close that relationship was. So she knew if I tell him I'm sacrificing myself, he's not going to allow me to do that because of the closeness that we have. So I think her keeping that until later, that part was okay for me. The part that was more tropey was I'm not going to explain while I'm mad at you, but now I'm going to explain while I'm mad at you. That was the more tropey thing, but the not explaining that she's going to sacrifice herself, that made complete and total sense to me.
Well, also the tropey thing was like, I only trust you, Dad, to bring this serum back. Like, anybody can freaking do that. Just here, so here's the serum, bring it back and explain it. Like what? He's the only one that can do that? Okay, I'll play along with that too. So, I mean, it's weird when a movie has like, oh, this has so much potential, and then they just do nothing with it. And then the other character. Well, I mean, they could explain the more time travel thing. They could explain more about the aliens. They could have done a lot more things. Like, I like the fact that they were already there. Like, that was, I guess that's the most interesting thing that we learned in that extra 30 minutes, that they were already there. That was pretty clever. And the fact that, hey, you could kind of do a little bit more. How they found that was kind of stupid with that kid and everything. That was kind of dumb.
I laughed, so I loved it. I thought, because it was absolutely hilarious, because it's bringing a callback from the beginning. It goes, anyone but this kid, because I don't know if you guys had this, but I had a kid in my science class that was obsessed with palm trees and always wanted to talk about palm trees. And so, like, we always had a don't call on this kid because then he's going to spout some random fact about palm trees. So I knew, like, they were like, oh, this is the kid that spouts random facts about volcanoes. I was like, I know that kid. I had class with that kid, kind of thing. And so the fact that, like, he became useful at the end was hilarious to me.
Yeah, we won't go to other scientists that specialize in volcanoes. No. We're going to go to a high school kid with his laptop, and he'll figure it out.
You know who you know.
I mean, at that point, he was just asking his friends and people around him for help, like his dad. Oh, I know a guy. Oh, it's this kid in volcano. Like, it was at that point, it was like, yeah, come on. We're getting to the end now, so
yeah, because the government's like, let's work together, and then now afterwards, we don't want to work together.
I think I laughed as well. I laughed out loud.
It didn't make any sense. And then the guy takes.
I was thinking, oh no, it's not the kid, is it? It's not the kid. And then when it was, yeah, they had it because they have a few jokes with him and stuff. I mean, it's dumb fun.
It's fun. It doesn't make any sense, but it's like fun. I don't know if the movie wants me to laugh at it or with it. Like,
maybe
I'm laughing
both.
at
I
it.
think maybe a bit of both. Maybe, yeah.
That's fair. I don't know if they're trying to set up a sequel with all that stuff. Like, ooh, someone brought. Do you guys think that or not, or is that just kind of reading more into it?
No, not really. Yeah. No.
Okay, I mean, because they made a point to say, like, oh, those people in the control room are different from the aliens, and I don't know. They could have been doing like a Independence Day, like, where like someone else is involved than the aliens that they're.
I don't think this can have a sequel. I don't think there's enough for it to have a sequel, and I think this one was like super enjoyable, dumb fun at some moments, and actually like legitimate good movies at other moments. Like, I think Chris Pratt actually did a really good job acting wise in this, and I've always enjoyed everything he's in that I've seen. Parks and Rec, he's super funny in that, and then you also have Guardians of the Galaxy as Star-Lord, and other things that he's been a part of, Jurassic World, things of that nature. But Yeah, I don't think there's enough for a sequel. I think if they do a sequel, it's going to be really, really bad.
Well, so don't ever say there's not enough for a sequel. There's
The day after
they
tomorrow
they'll
war.
always find a way to make a sequel out of anything
Yeah, yeah,
if
but I'm
it was
saying
made
if
enough
they can
money.
make a sequel, they can try to make a sequel out of anything. It's probably not going to be very good. Whereas, like this movie, I enjoyed myself a lot watching this, and I enjoyed it a lot. I probably won't enjoy a sequel to this, but who knows?
Maybe, yeah, maybe not. But I'm just saying, I think there's a kernel there that they could easily make into a sequel if and when they wanted to. Well, they probably not. But would it surprise me if they went in an avenue like that, like oh, this was like a prisoner ship or whatever, and it crashed on. It was supposed to go some other planet, and it crashed on Earth, and whatever, blah blah blah. They could easily do something like that. Another thing I didn't like, and then we can kind of wrap things up, is the dialogue. There's certain dialogue, there's points in the movie where the dialogue is just like, oh my god, is that what we're doing here? Is that what we're saying? And it's just like, yes, I know, cheesy action movie. Yes, I know, but at the same time, there were just certain points where just dialogue was just like, oh my
Is
god.
this the cheese that you want in Masters of the Universe?
Yeah, but some cheese, and some ridiculousness, and just like goofiness. This movie just like I think it was like trying to figure out, are we a sophisticated sci-fi action movie, or are we just a dumb action movie? And then there was some
I think the
parts,
movie knew what it was.
I don't know, but because at the beginning it didn't come across that way. It looked like it was taking itself very very seriously, and then there's other times where it was just winking at you, and it's like, pick a lane and stick in it. So I think it was somewhere in the middle, and that's why it's just kind of okay. I wish it was just one or the other. I might have enjoyed it more if it was just dumb action all the way through. Because they were trying to have a little bit of heart in there and all this other bullshit. Just like, no, just be completely dumb. Just be dumb. It's okay to be dumb. Certain action movies are good when they're just dumb fun. We're just gonna get
But the
shooting them
dumb
up the
action movies
aliens.
have heart in it too. Like I think that's yeah. There's a lot of dumb action movies that have a lot of heart, and so I think this movie was a dumb action movie that also like had some heart at some points and had some like not as good parts at other moments. But I think it's still a very enjoyable movie.
Yeah, I didn't have a bad time watching it, but not the best time. Because at a certain point, I was just like starting to pick up my phone and whatnot. I'm like, oh, that's never a good sign. Never a good sign. Or looking at my watch, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's no good. But we'll start to wrap it up. Give your overall thoughts, and then let's start rating it out of 10. So, Boggs, I'll start with you.
Overall thoughts, yeah, it's fun. Like I think you pretty much summed it up there, where at times it did take its. You did feel like they were going for a serious sci-fi fantasy thing, and then at the same time it's absolute goofball stuff, and it's somewhere in the middle for me. So yes, I enjoyed a lot of the action stuff. You know, the alien creatures were great. I thought some of the humor was quite funny, even if it was cheesy or if it was intended. Either way, I think it was quite funny. His back and forth with his other kind of soldiers, and you know, having it did have some interesting things, like having random people being drafted, like random civilians, and you know, how would they act or behave in the, like being drafted and things like that, and having almost no training and almost like a video game thing, being dumped in a level and like, here you go, survive for whatever it is, 7 days, right, or something like that. So yeah, it's definitely had some interesting points. But a sequel, I mean, I'd say there's a potential with some of the things that they created in there. I mean, it's hard to say because there's no box office. You know, there's not too much hype for it online really, or excitement or buzz for it. So it's really hard to judge. But overall, a 6 out of 10, maybe 6.5. I mean, it's just one of them like kind of day after tomorrow movies, or like some kind of disaster movie like Army of the Dead, quite similar to that. Just you know, zombie alien type fun, apocalyptic stuff that isn't the most, you know, thought-provoking thing in the world. But yeah, I mean, if you like Chris Pine, if you like, you know, Edge of Tomorrow, it's like a not as good Edge of Tomorrow kind of thing, right? So yeah, it's fun. but yeah, in a way, I did kind of wish I watched it in a theater, just because, like I said, of the spectacle of it, and I do like these kind of movies. So, yeah, it's it's not a classic by any means, but done fun on a Sunday afternoon.
I like it you brought up Edge of Tomorrow because I love Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of
Yeah,
Tomorrow is that's a great
that's an intelligent sci-fi
yes
movie, right?
yes
Absolutely.
yes absolutely.
So this is like a way watered down version.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Because that's a great use of time travel, and then explaining and setting everything up for when you got
and
action.
they felt like a poor man's Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt in this, in a weird way. Not to say they're not as talented, because they are very talented, but just this movie was like a B level compared to that. So, which isn't bad, which is middle of the road for me. It's worth watching. But not. I wouldn't put it on the same pedestal as Edge of Tomorrow.
No, absolutely not. But the more I think about that movie and this movie, there's some similarities. Yeah, I would call it, because Yvonne she's a great actress. I wouldn't say she's a watered down Emily Blunt, but she's not on Emily Blunt's level, but not a watered down version. But the movies are similar. But yes, see, with that movie knows what it is, and I think this movie has an identity crisis to a degree. Even though I still kind of liked it, it sounds like I don't like it. But it was just okay. 1,000%. But I'll go and I'll let Sol go. Overall, I had moments where I was just like, aha, yeah, that is funny, or that's clever, and I just wish that there was, like I said, there was a foundation there of a great movie in there. If they just went a certain path, they had two paths, and then they created a third. Where, like I said, they could have easily been super sci-fi action like Edge of Tomorrow, or they could have been goofy sci-fi action like Independence Day, and that's good. But then they created a third path where just like, we're just gonna straddle it too, and it just didn't work. But at the same time, the elements that did work, Chris Pratt, Yvonne Strahovski, their chemistry worked. I love their performances. The aliens look great. The special effects look great. So for that, I might give it a little bit more I might give it a 7. I can't give it more than that because of just all the other ridiculousness in it, but I just think it's okay. Would I watch it again? Probably not, because it's way too long. But if I saw it like halfway through, I'd sit through half of it. Watching it all the way through, again, I don't know.
Wow, Sully, that's a 7 for him. Look at, he's absolutely tore it to shreds, and it's a 7.
Yeah,
it's a 7. I thought it was just okay.
No. I was just like, Bogz like this. Bogz like this more than Sean, and Bogz gave it a 6.5.
No, because like I said, there's elements in this thing that I really, really liked, and if they would have like touched on it just a little bit more, I would have really, really liked this movie. I was like, I want to like it. I really did. Make me like you. And I just thought it was like, okay, it was just really just paint by the numbers. Okay. Now, if I watch it again, that score might go down. It might go down because the dialogue is really bad at certain points. So right now it's a 7. Yeah. But it could easily be a 6 if I watch it again because the dialogue really, I was just eye rolling a lot of points. But so you go ahead.
This is gonna be really funny because like my score was just like, I think it's a 6.57, and I obviously liked this way more than Sean did. So
I think Sean's getting the numbers wrong. Yeah, I think you've not got the right concept about it.
Yeah.
No, I know what it is.
But I think this movie did its best when it knew what it was and it was being goofy and cheesy. Those were the best moments for me. There were moments too that like it was taking itself a little too seriously, but I think those moments for me were so short that like it didn't really overall affect the entire movie for me, and therefore I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I think it was a fun, dumb action movie, and so my score is a 6.57.
What?
But I liked it way more than Sean, so I don't think Sean doesn't know how the numbers things work.
No, I do.
Agree with Bogz there.
No, I'll put you like until they jump, I was 100% invested, 100% invested. Because till that point, the movie is super taking it seriously, It's not until after they jump and we start getting the action where it just starts to become really goofy and silly. Like, yeah, there's jokes in between at that point, but
I
I was
really want to
100%
know what
invested into
I
it.
really want to know like how much he would tear to shreds like a 4 or 5. If he's tearing a 7 this much
But
to
I loved it.
shreds.
No, only again, maybe I'm tearing it up because again, watching the trailer, I thought it was going to be one thing and it wasn't. So a lot of that's
And
like,
that makes sense too, because after the trailer, you were much more high on this movie than I was. I was
yes,
not. I was not very high on this movie when I went in. So I went in with way less expectations of this movie, and I think that's why I enjoyed it more than you did.
yes, but I was at the first 20 minutes or so, or however, I was like, yep, this is exactly what I think it is. Exactly what
Yeah.
I think. And
Tell
then
us in the
just
chat below who was Brazil playing. That's the only thing. Like that's the most important fact in the very beginning. Who was Brazil playing, and did it predict
You're
the
in
World
blue.
Cup?
It's also, yeah.
I don't know if I'm curious enough to rewatch it again. But if someone else was watching it, I'd sit down and watch it. If it was like from regular cable or whatever. But I don't see myself rewatching this movie. It let me down. Shame on you. Shame
But you
on
get
you,
the high
Amazon
score,
and
so
Paramount.
Yeah.
That's just an okay score to me. It
you're a
wasn't
generous
bad.
man. You're a very generous man, clearly.
It wasn't bad, but maybe part of my score is potential. Is the
Maybe.
potential.
Maybe.
Oh no, I'm not saying probably. It is. But it didn't have to do much to get an 8 or a 9. It was almost there. Just pick a lane and stick in it. All right, but that's what we think about Tomorrow War. Yeah, like Soul said, what do you guys think? Did you like it? Did you enjoy the time travel small element? Did you like the sci-fi element? Did you like the design of the aliens? I think we all agree the aliens look great. What do you guys' thoughts on that? Chris Pratt, Yvonne Strahovski, thoughts on them, their chemistry, their acting ability. Could this be a sequel? Did you like that extra 30 minutes at the end there? Just let us know what your thoughts are. Drop them in the comments below. Also, subscribe, do all those great things. We're doing a lot of trailer reviews. Obviously, when movies come out, we'll do reviews on those. Like Black Widow is coming out very, very soon. So you can expect a review on that movie. Highly looking forward to that. Most likely that'll be above a 7 for sure. Hopefully. And we're doing Bad Batch reviews and Loki reviews as well. So you can look out for those on the channel as well. But until our next review, for Soul, for Bogz, for myself, take care. And 7 days is a weird thing to always be stuck in. That's weird.